Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that is very sorry for all of the problems that it caused and will gladly pay for damages. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 5 games from Z-Man Games. Alright, jumping right into it, my top 5 games from Z-Man Games. Number 5 is a game that I got sent a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I knew nothing about. When I saw it, I wasn't particularly impressed with it, and then I played it, and it was tremendous fun. Very small, very simple game. I am, of course, talking about Dark Stories. Dark Stories from Z-Man Games is a... it's kind of more of a party game, essentially. You read a kind of a riddle, and then everybody, of course, tries to guess the riddle. The person can kind of ask some questions about it, but you've got to be very careful about answers you give, and it's just fun. It's just this fun riddle discovery game. Of course, there's not a whole lot of replay value once you've heard them all, but still, that being said, it's a fun game. It's a great game that you can play with just one other person or with a bunch of other people. You know, they're kind of dark riddles, obviously. They're kind of, horror riddles and stuff like that. And it's just fun. It's interesting, and it's a great party game to play with friends. So Dark Stories, my number 5 from Z-Man Games. Coming in at number 4, if you watch the show, I always kind of say I'm not a huge fan of Euro games, but occasionally there's some I like a lot. Probably the first game I remember playing that was kind of a hard Euro game was a game that nearly turned me off because it was so complex and there was so much going on. But despite that, it was very compelling, and I really enjoyed it. And that is Russian Railroads. Russian Railroads from Z-Man Games is a game where you are, of course, you're building railroads. You got different tracks. You've got to have engines on all of them, but of course you're trying to get workers and specialists to help you. You're competing. It's a worker placement game. You're competing for the different places from which to draw the resources you need and the workers you need and get the bonuses you want. It's very fun, but it's a heavier Euro. If I played it again now, it probably wouldn't be as heavy as I remembered it. I actually haven't played it in a little while. I still have it. I did bring it down here to Texas with me, but I haven't played it in a long time, and that's one I was just thinking the other day. I've got to break out again and see how if it's still as complex as I remembered it being. But I still really enjoyed it when I played it. I hadn't played anything like it before. I think it was the first worker placement game I'd ever played, so it really stuck with me, and I really came to love that mechanic from that game. But that is Russian Railroads, my number 4 game from Z-Man Games. My number 3 game on the list is a game I played. This is maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I played it. I played it, I think, once or twice. I ended up getting rid of it just because it was hard to get to the table for a number of reasons. It was a little complex, a little wonky here and there, which is why I didn't rank it higher, but I still really did enjoy it, and I heard the expansion makes it better, but I hadn't played it with the expansion. This is Clash of Cultures. Clash of Cultures from Z-Man Games, of course, is a great civilization-building game. I liked it because it had the fog of civilization, I guess, where you would move to a different tile and you would flip that tile over to kind of see the new civilization, or the new landscape, rather. But, of course, you're building cities, and you would actually physically put the little pieces together to form these bigger cities when you added different buildings and stuff. You had different charts to kind of track your development. You'd have cards you'd play. It was a very fun and very interesting game, and I love civilization-building games. I always think they're just tremendously fun and always offer, interesting and new things to do with them. So I really enjoyed Clash of Cultures. It was just a great game. That is my number 3 from Z-Man Games, Clash of Cultures. Now, for the longest time, I would have told you my number 2 game was my number 1 game from Z-Man Games. I really enjoyed it. This is Merchants and Marauders. Merchants and Marauders is a fantastic pirate-themed game. It's probably the best pirate-themed game I've ever played, and you've got different characters, you have different ships, you kind of outfit the ships differently, you go to different ports, pick up certain items, drop them off on other items, so there's kind of a supply and demand. It's a pick up and delivery game, but there's also combat, and you can choose whether you're going to be an honest trader or whether you are going to be a pirate, right? And the decisions you make are very important because there's also kind of an NPC that can come out, different NPCs from different nations, the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, etc. They can come after you and try to hunt you down, and you've got to avoid them, but you've also got to avoid other players or maybe attack them if you want to become a pirate. I really like the game because, too, it's got the thing where you can bank. You've each got the little treasure chests, and you can bank coins that are your victory points at the end of the game. Or you can just keep them where you can spend them and use them. And it's a very interesting mechanic. But to me, it's a sandbox game that just totally immerses you, and it's a lot of fun. And subsequently you had some other games like it that came out with science fiction themes. Firefly, the board game, was a very science fiction themed version of this. Xia, Legends of a Drift System was very much like this. But Merchants and Marauders, of course, just had that great Pirates of the Caribbean feel, not the Disney film, just in general, Pirates of the Caribbean. And I really, really had a lot of fun with it. It was a great open world game and tremendous fun. That is Merchants and Marauders, my number 2 game from Z-Man Games. Now, my number 1 game from Z-Man Games is a game that actually had been around for about 20 or so years, published by different companies, and Z-Man just got a hold of it. So now it's a Z-Man game. And I just played it a couple of months ago for the very first time and absolutely fell in love with it. That is, I think I've got it here. Oh, it's down here. I don't know if you can see it. That's History of the World. History of the World from Z-Man Games. This was just a fantastic game where, of course, you build up your kingdoms and your empires, and then immediately at the end of your turn, they kind of go into decline. Then other people build up kingdoms, and then they come after you, and you have combat where, you can't, like, turtle in this game. You're going to go down, but you're going to kind of rise up again in a different empire. So you build up all these empires, but it's thematic, too, because each empire has their own kind of historical characteristics about it, which are very fun. The British are strong in naval matters. The Celts and the Huns don't really have a capital; they're more nomadic. So there's really just a lot of fun historical flavor in this game. But it's a great kind of world scope game. I played it with 4 players. I'd like to play it with more players in the future because I think it'd be even more fun if it was more crowded. It plays, I think, up to 6. But it's just a great romp through history. It's kind of mean the way you're attacking people and taking them down, and then you've got some kind of event cards that add some spice, some sugar and spice into the game. That's really a lot of fun. Tremendous civilization building game. That's light, easy to learn, easy to play, easy to teach. Really liked it. That's History of the World, my number 1 game from Z-Man Games. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us today. Please let me know what your favorite Z-Man game is. Let me know if you want to see some more of these videos. I'm probably not going to do too many more, maybe a few more, and then I'll probably wrap up this segment for the foreseeable future. But let me know what companies you want to see me do, and I'll see if I've played 5 of their games, and I liked 5 of their games. But please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, leave comments for us. We really love to hear that. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite thing about Z-Man Games is that it's really easy to go, Z-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Deadly meal.
Deadly meal.
Deadly meal.
Deadly meal.